Some of these issues I'd like to call your attention to, as has been mentioned here repeatedly, are not things we can put off any longer, and the reality is that the costs will be borne now. The only question we face right now for the costs related to the Chesapeake Bay issues is how are we going to distribute those costs among ratepayers, local government, and the state. I wish I could throw the federal government in there, but I think that would be overly optimistic at this point. And based on the Clean Water Act compliance issues with Chesapeake Bay impairment, as has been noted, about 63 wastewater treatment plants have already received permit limits. About 121 will come up over the next several years, and the need exists right now to start the planning, design, and construction process with a total price tag of over $1 billion. The last time we had this sort of proposed construction at treatment facilities across the state was in the early days of Clean Water Act construction, and most of those costs were borne with 75% federal cost share. The interesting corollary to that, or perhaps the expensive corollary, is we're starting to see TMDL-based requirements outside of the Bay watershed. I think there's 6 facilities right now looking at nutrient-based limits based on local water quality impairments. 3 of which are in the southeast, one in Pittsburgh, Harrisburg, I forget where the final one is, but those treatment limits are even lower than what's being requested in Chesapeake Bay permits. And it should be noted that it's not just a level of treatment required, but a maintenance of a cap load for nitrogen and phosphorus. I think any time we're looking at Clean Water Act-driven limits based on nutrients, you can't avoid the linkage to the non-point source sector, whether that's agriculture or suburban and urban runoff. In the Chesapeake Bay watershed, farms are being asked to implement many new BMPs, green infrastructure, if you will, and the reality is that if we don't achieve these ag reductions, we're going to create more problems for ourselves in terms of future growth and economic development. We have to move the whole picture forward together, not just wastewater treatment plants, not just agriculture, not just stormwater, but all of these infrastructure issues together. We really have to prioritize. I was going to say allocate, but it's really a matter of prioritization in our state budget. We have a $28 billion state budget. This is a need that's not going to go away and is only going to get more expensive as fuel costs and energy costs, construction material costs increase. We can't put it off another year. Many of these communities, as you've heard, are already increasing their rates and need the assistance now. Pennsylvania Builders Association, Municipal Authorities Association, Farm Bureau, Pennsylvania Association of Conservation Districts, and CBF have joined together in an alliance of sort of unlikely bedfellows and have a very rapidly expanding coalition. I think the total number of groups is now up to about 24 to propose that the Pennsylvania Fair Share for Clean Water Plan, setting forth $890 million of spending over 7 years in 50-50 cost share grants and programs to both wastewater treatment plants and agricultural infrastructure issues. I'd like to note that Representative Perry, as has been mentioned before, has introduced House Bill 2441, which addresses many of these issues. Senator Musto's bill is out there on the CSO issue. Recently, Senate Bill 2 has been introduced, which is another infrastructure bill based on, I think, $750 million bond issue paid for with gambling revenues. I guess to summarize, given the overall infrastructure needs we face here, we just can't afford to set precedent of starting to fund them 100% on local citizens and local municipalities. The state has always tried to address some of these issues equitable, whether it's roads, mass transit, wastewater. There's a role for both state government and the local government and the local citizens in these issues. I think that needs to continue, and that in order to address the issues that are being driven by the permit limits right now, we need to start money flowing in this budget year and look at that as a down payment on the larger infrastructure issue. I'll wrap up. I know everybody's been here a long time.